Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Spill the Chai podcast with me, your host, Maria Mukwanda, and my co-host, Pumelele Sakina Zulama, Badrunisa Muhammad, and Iman Millions Art Exclusive. Assalamu alaikum, ladies.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Well, we are continuing with the topic of polygyny, necessity or desire. And this is the much anticipated, most talked about topic in the Muslim community. And since we started with part one last week, we have been inundated with requests for part two. People are waiting. In fact, I've been told recently that we're taking too long. Like, what's happening, ladies? You're taking too long for part two. So, yes, ladies, alhamdulillah, we see the need for this discussion, and part two is here today. But before we get into today's discussion, I'd like us to go through some of the comments, or rather, one of the comments that stood out. It's from Iman Zenzokuhle, and she says here, the fact that we are still focusing on why men should marry more than one wife, I'm afraid we still have a long way to go. Most of us as women have a poor women's mentality where we only think of finances when it comes to polygyny. Some women just want a man who is responsible enough to assist her in running her affairs, whether through business or just fulfilling her sexual desires, etc. Unfortunately, most women have entitlement issues and want to control the situation. Why can't we focus on loving for our sisters what we love for ourselves? That way, we will see polygyny uh, as a way building our communities and removing the social constraints that our black men are facing. Imagine if we had the mentality, come together with the resources that we have and build our own Lodiums, Marlboro, etc., etc. I agree with Sakina. The language used when it comes to polygyny is filled with lust, entitlement, and selfishness. It's all about me from both sides. We must change that and have a community building attitude when it comes to Istanbul. So there were other comments there, and if anyone would like to read those comments and add your own, you can go to the previous video, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. That is Spill the Chai RSA. Like, subscribe, and leave your comment. Now, ladies, what are your thoughts on that comment that Sister Iman shared when she says that? We have a poor women's mentality. Most women have poor women's mentality, and we only think of finances when it comes to polygyny. And I believe that last time we did mention that finances are important when it comes to marriage, and not just polygyny, but marriage itself.
Indeed. I mean, subhanAllah, there's so much to dissect in the comment. So, number one is just, um, I don't think we are questioning whether man can take more than one woman. I mean, this is part of being. We're not questioning that. It is the manner in which things are happening that is the issue that is making the success rate of polygyny very low. So that is what is being questioned, not whether they can, should, or shouldn't, whether there's a need or not. We have established that indeed there is a need. So, yeah. And then the financial aspect. It's easy for a woman who has been on her own, taking care of her own, to say that finances is not an issue. You've been paying your own bills. Um, if you've got children, you've been taking care of your kids, etc., etc. But if you were previously in a relationship, you would know that finances plays a major role in any relationship, be it monogamy or polygyny. So to minimize that and say that we have or that women have a poor woman's mentality is incorrect, because even in hadith you are told to look, a man is told to look at a woman's wealth, and a woman is told to look at a man's wealth, when you get married. And obviously, if you are a first wife, you are worried, okay, will he be able to continue to give me the life that I had after he had
Mm-hmm.
taken a second wife? So we can't say this is a poor woman's mentality, because it is also said that a man has to continue maintaining his first wife and family the way he has been doing. It shouldn't decrease in fact, it should decrease. He should try and do more, but within his limits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, but yeah, we do have a long way to go because we have to first peel off the layers with the monogamy first and do the work and put in the work before we can actually jump into polygyny. But yeah, hey, let's carry on with the discussion. People have been waiting for part two, so here's part two.
You know
Bismillah.
what? I get the comment in such a way that yes, you know what? In a healthy society whereby you need a collaboration, you know, of resources. But now, what is mostly happening in our communities is that there's no collaboration of resources. Most men are barely making it in the monogamous marriage that they are in. And it's not just finances, but finances are part of the whole circle. You know, you need to be financially fit just for the monogamous marriage. You need to be spiritually fit, you need to be mentally fit, and you need to be physically fit for a monogamous relationship. So I don't think it's maybe a poor sister's mentality or a poor woman's mentality, but I think it's natural for women to worry about their security, to worry about their safety, and hence the Quran says men are women's protectors, men are women's providers. But it's if you see that, as most first wife that complain that already I have compromised a lot in order for this marriage to work, and they feel that now with the second wife coming in, it means I have to compromise even more, so it's not really, I feel it's a poor woman's mentality, but it's that worry of your safety and security as a woman that already I have compromised my safety and security in order for this marriage to work. Now I have to take even 10 more steps and sacrifice even more
Hmm. Someone
have
can
a
argue that,
second wife. Yeah.
but why don't you put things, leave it in Allah's hands if you are afraid of the security? Because if you trust Allah, then you should put your whole trust in Allah and let Allah take control of that security that you're so afraid of.
I think, sometimes we get religiously manipulated or emotionally manipulated
Religiously
because when
blackmailed.
you're hungry, right? When you're hungry, why do you go and seek risk? Why don't you just sit in your house and say, no, manna from heaven will fall? So let's not manipulate people religiously and emotionally blackmail them because we just want our way, and say, Allah has given us and say, go and seek out your risk. And then you sit and you say Bismillah, you seek out your risk and then sit and make dua that the risk will come. So it's
Hmm.
a natural thing for women to worry about their safety and security. And you, as a man, you are there to assure the woman that, you know what, you don't need to worry about this. A second wife coming in will not change the relationship that I have with you. So that's why I said, even from the beginning, the language that we have around polygamy or even marriage itself is not healthy. It's not healthy because we're not sitting down and communicating. And people say things like, no, I don't need permission from my first wife. Yes, you don't need permission from your first wife, but you need to communicate, because she will still be affected by the second marriage. The kids in your first marriage will still be affected by your second marriage. So you need to communicate. You need to remove the ego. You need to remove the pride. You need to remove the arrogance of saying, no, Allah has given me the right to take a second wife, and no one can tell me anything about it. You need to remove all of that and sit down with a level head and communicate with your first wife and say, you know what, I'm at a stage whereby I feel there is a gap in my life and I need to take a second wife.
And I think also the other issue is when it is said with a sense of entitlement, that it's all about me, you know. Why is it that women who are either divorced or widowed are the ones who say that the one who is married to the one to enter is entitled? It's not a sense of entitlement. It's just as Sister Sekina is saying, it's about security. You know, you are questioning if this is going to work. Is there enough to go around for everyone? Normally, um, it's the divorcees and those who are widowed who sing, love for your sister what you love for yourself, sharing is caring. You know, I saw another post that said, I'm Muslim, of course, I'm going to marry your husband. He's Al Habibi now. Right?
Habibi.
And we're laughing about it, but
Mm.
isn't this double standard? When you were an only wife, you didn't want anyone to come into your marriage. Now that you are divorced or widowed, now suddenly you want to be a second wife. Um, and you're going about very arrogantly. There's no humility in it. Like, why not? Be my Islam teaches this. This is also an unhealthy way of going about it. And this is why there's an increased rate of the unsuccessfulness of polygyny. It's not just the men, but also from the women. And now we ask the question, if all first wives are better and if all subsequent wives are vindictive.
Mm. It's quite challenging because you wouldn't really be able to answer a question like that if you aren't in that situation. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not in that situation, so I wouldn't be able to answer. Even though a person can say that, no, I know myself, and I won't be vindictive or I won't be selfish or whatever. But until you are placed in that situation and the challenges and the weight of the challenges that you are faced with, it's a totally different ballgame. Iman?
Okay, I wanna answer on love for your sister, what you love for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, every woman knows their spouses, so sometimes sisters banahana hore we are selfish, rona the first wives, and sometimes what if you are trying to save them? Like you find out hore the husband maybe he's an abusive,
Mm.
maybe o abuse mosadi emotionally, financially, you understand, and o kry-le hore mosadi o rejecta that polygamy because a itse hore a itse situation sa ka mo ntlong, you understand. So now I have to follow this ya hore love for your sister what you love for yourselves, and then e be le hore ke amogela that sister, and then ke mo kentsha ka mahara a toxic marriage, and then kaosane the sister o tsamaya ko Facebook social media and bash my husband while we reject rona because we're trying to save them. Sometimes they need to understand bo sisters hore ka nako e nngwe sister ha hana maybe she's trying to save the sister. She's trying to save you, to be in a toxic marriage. I don't know.
But then I think if you're trying to save her, why don't you let her know and tell her that look, sister, this is my situation, and honestly, I'm just trying to save you from getting yourself into muddy waters. So it would be best for you if you just walk away. Maybe it would be better for her to get into that marriage and see for herself, and then she'll decide, hey, that's not for me, and then she decides to walk away at the end of the day. I mean, I don't know.
Sometimes you can let her know,
Hmm.
but because of Aboni, the fancy things that I have, and then she thinks maybe Lena, because sometimes
Yeah.
baba on the second marriage because banyoko tlhokomediwa. You understand?
Mhm.
Hmm.
But then
No,
Uh,
also in that same,
look, because it just goes to say that what it's got many faces, and it's got
mm,
many angles, and the purpose is can never be one and the same. If we look at the history of polygamy in our societies, in the African, context, it was mainly to create harmony and build communities and societies. At a certain angle, if you ask, some of our grandparents and our great grandparents who were in polygamous situations, they will tell you, it had its benefits, and then it also had its this thing, its negatives. So, but that's why I'm saying, it's all about being open and sitting and discussing that, why really do I want to pursue this thing, polygamy. And I think accountability, when I look at our society, especially our own, like Black society, we come from a society whereby there's a whole lot of lack of accountability when it comes to just marriage in general. There are statements such as "Muna abutisi pay sleep, Muna abutisi huruya kai." There's a whole lot of how what do you call it, community hadiths about the lack of accountability of a man. So it's also not easy from the man's side to sit and say, okay, now I'm going to be accountable as to why I want to pursue polygamy and how will it work, the technicalities, who's getting these days, who's getting 5 days, who's getting 2 days, 3 days, the technicalities of things, so that everyone can be on board, everyone can understand, everyone can sort of move forward and create that harmonious community. So I think in our communities, that's one of the things that makes us get marriage wrong in general, and worse off, polygyny wrong in general, because there's no communication, there's no sitting down, there's no accountability. So already as a first wife, if you know that my husband is not accountable, I don't know how much does he earn. I don't know if I ask him for money or anything like that. If I ask him for his time, even accountability of time, if I ask him for his time,
Mm.
can we just have a weekend to ourselves? They have, your date nights, it's just you as a couple. I'm already lacking that attention from my husband. And it's like, now that attention has to be divided with someone else. So that's why I would want to go back to that Iman's comment of poor woman's mentality. I think the challenge that many people are facing in their marriages is that I'm already operating from a point of lack. So bringing in someone else will create even more lack, lack of time, lack of energy. Maybe the lady is still young, she's in her 30s, 40s, and she's got energy for the bedroom and the husband is already lacking on that side and he already wants to take a second wife. She's thinking, oh my goodness, I only get it 3 times a week. It means now I'll get it once or twice a week.
Right.
So I think it's not just finances, but it's the whole circle, the whole holistic approach that, this person, when it's Maghrib time, we are not praying together. Fajr time, I'm the one who has to wake him up. We don't have spiritual discussions together. We're not growing each other spiritually. And now you think about all of those things, So hence, I think it also goes with Iman's comment that you're thinking that, okay, also the sister is going to come into this chaos. I'm already experiencing a chaotic marriage, a toxic marriage. Then the sister wants to come in and will just create more toxic instead of creating the harmonious community or the harmonious marriages that we are expecting polygamy to give. So I think it's not really much about resisting polygamy, but it's about knowing your marriage, where you are with your husband, and you just feel, what, we are not yet at a point where we are healthy enough to take on another person. And I think it's not just another wife, it's about kids as well. When you tell your spouse that, what, we are not in a healthy place to even have more kids, we are not in a healthy place to help your mother out, we are not in a healthy place to help your brother out, and so forth. And it's not well received because we don't come from a community of accountability. So when the man hears you say this, it feels like, no, you are selfish. You don't want me to help my mother. You don't want me to help my brother. You don't want me to do such and such thing. You are selfish. Well, on the other hand, it's more about accountability than being selfish. I'm talking too much.
Papa, you
This is
wanted to
so
say?
true. Yeah, the point again of, love for your sister, what you love for yourself, and how Sister Sakina is just dissecting it. Sometimes somebody would know exactly what your situation is and still want to insert them into that situation because they feel they can do better than you. And this is where the the explosion of toxicity comes from, and it just becomes worse than what it was
Mm,
because the person knows exactly this is the situation. Regardless, I still want this. Why not? You know, I'm not you. I'm gonna do better than what you have done. You failed. You couldn't be a woman. So I'll teach you how to be a woman. And a lot of the power also comes from the man to the subsequent wife that yeah, ola wapal, ola ubyang byang. And
mm,
so you get that type of attitude. So then the resistance or the bitterness from the first wife then gets established from the because now you're like, okay, you didn't come here to build, you came here to be destructive because that isn't a mentality of building. You are being destructive because
mhm,
polygyny is not. People come into polygyny with a mentality of monogamy. You want it to be my marriage, but you are not in a monogamous marriage. You are in a polygamous marriage. Yes, you have your time alone with the husband, but at the end of the day, you are in a unit. So, in order for this unit to work, everybody has to put in a collective effort. There are private matters for each set. When he's with this wife, it's this private matter, that wife. But building this unit, making it a successful thing, you must treat it like a polygamous marriage and understand and respect each other's concerns. Listen to each other's concerns. Don't come in and want to do better and um, how can I say? You want to live a monogamous life in a polygamous situation.
mm,
Then why did you enter polygamy in the first place? And then we get the statements that yeah, first wives are controlling, they are better, and it's not about it being controlling. But guys, you wanted to be in polygamy. Let's be in polygamy. Let us build. How are we going to build if you are coming with this destructive mentality? How are we going to go forward if you are coming in with labels? Because that is also one of the causes of polygamy failing. That
mm,
she wasn't good enough, she's too fat,
Should I also
she's too
not
short,
see
or
it?
she's too poor. There's always something. So we need to, as Sister Sakina has been saying, we need to change the language. To
mm.
Okay, the
Sakina, you were
network
saying
seems to
I
be
something.
think I
leaving us.
lost.
No, I was saying, if I'm invited into a polygamous marriage to be a second wife or third wife, if the brother is bad mouthing his first wife or he's bad mouthing his second wife, I think it
Mm,
should be a red flag to me. It should be a red
Mm,
mm,
flag to me that what will happen
mm,
on the day that he's not happy with me? Is he going to
mm,
badmouth me to the first wife? Is he going to badmouth me to the second wife? I think that should
mm.
be a major sign for you that you should not come to me with a statement that what, the first wife can't do one two three, therefore I'm coming into the marriage in order to play a role that she can't play. So I think that should be
Mm.
a red flag.
mm.
A
Oh,
And
Sakina's
just
gone.
also the accountability part. Like we need to keep hold each other accountable. Um, that's how we are going to build and be successful. Because without accountability, nothing nothing is going to work. We're going to continue to encounter these problems because no one is being
Mm.
taken to task for anything.
Yeah. And as adults, we should be accountable for our actions and everything we do. We should be responsible enough to hold ourselves accountable before we point the finger at the next person. And then it comes down to this issue of secret marriages as well. As Sakina was saying that he will say that his first wife doesn't do this and hope that his second wife will do that. And we see these things on social media and people laugh and joke about them like it's funny, but it's actually things that is happening in our communities when the brothers will be chatting to single sisters in on Facebook and social media, and we all know that that is haram. Chatting to the sisters and telling her things like, "I wish I met you before my wife," and trying to
Exactly.
sow discord with the amongst the sisters. And you'll find what the sisters actually do love one another, but because of a man, because of this man who comes
Yeah.
in between you, and he tries to make things difficult and make the relationship unbearable between the sisters. And it shouldn't even be the case. We we do love one another, and we would love for our sisters to have what we have, but the problem lies with the brothers, with the men as well. And it's that accountability, that lack of accountability, and that lack of responsibility. Because if he was doing the right thing, if he was actually fearing Allah, being that God fearing man and doing the right thing, he would not be going in the inboxes and telling the ladies that I wish I met you before my wife. Okay, fine. If you had met her before your wife, and then what? If you met another woman, would you be telling her that? And then what? It would just be an ongoing cycle of someone who's always interested in the next person, and as they say, a skirt chaser. So, and you'll find that that person, that type of person, is not in polygyny for the right reasons. They're in polygyny because of fulfilling their lust. You'll find that they can't even maintain the four women, the four wives that they have, and they're still continuing to chase other sisters because of of their lust. And unfortunately, secret marriages is an ongoing thing, and it's becoming very problematic in our communities. You'll find that next week you're going to cater for your husband's wedding. He's getting married to his third wife. You haven't even met the second, but you're going to cater for the third wife. Yeah, something to laugh about, but it's serious and it's happening in our communities. What can we do about that situation? Because we know for a fact that marriage is something that is beautiful and it should be announced. People should know that you are married. You don't have to announce to the whole world, but you can announce it to your closest friends and family and let people know that you are married. You are getting married. And why not let them know about your second wife as well? If it's a good thing that you're doing by marrying a second wife or third, why be afraid to tell people and let people know that you have gotten another wife, you have married? Is it because of societal standards? Are you afraid of what society is going to say about you marrying a second or a third? Are you afraid that they're going to give your wife labels that she can't do A, B, and C? Or are you afraid that they're going to give you labels that you are such and such a man?
Mm.
We still have a long way to go.
Mm.
And then another thing, I find that we don't discuss enough, especially as Muslims in this country, is the legal implications of our marriages. Once you pass away, what will happen, especially if you have, like a secret wife. So I
Mm.
remember there was an incident that took place whereby the second wife thought she's the only wife. And when the
Wow.
brother passed away, yes, when the brother passed away, she found out that she's actually the second wife. And he's had his first wife, the family knows the first wife, and so forth. And sometimes, okay, I don't blame, like families. Sometimes families, they even know about your secret marriage, but they decide to keep quiet
Mm.
and not say anything about it. So, but we don't think about legal matters and issues of inheritance, that once you are gone, what will happen to your secret marriage? And what if the other wife decides to pursue, legal matters? What will happen? Is everyone in the mix covered? And what if the second wife decides to take everything from your first wife? We should think about legal matters, when we actually getting into our marriages. What are the implications? I know that I think Al Jama is busy challenging the Marriage Act that was recently given when it comes to Muslims and the marriages being accepted, because there's certain clauses that are not really in line with Sharia and so forth. So we should think about those things. And, we are not writing wills. We are dying as Muslims and we are not writing wills. And if you do not write a will and you're a South African citizen, the government will just take over the execution of your estate, and they
Mm.
might not do what you wish may be done. And by that time, it's too late. You are gone, and other people are taking over your estate. You find that your wife and kids are kicked out. We should think about such things. That's why I'm saying, when we approach marriage and we approach polygyny, we should think about everything that is involved, and everyone involved should be in the clear and know how everything is going to pan out and everything is going to be arranged, and so forth. If something is happening, what takes priority over this. So that's why I'm saying, we need to sit down and talk about these things. And the legal aspect is just one of the points. It goes deeper into the families involved, the in-laws involved, because when you get married to people, you're not only marrying them as individuals, you are marrying your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your sisters-in-law, your brothers-in-law. Everyone is involved in your marriage. As much as there's boundaries in the marriage, but everyone somehow is also involved. You know, you are marrying the extended family, so there are implications to this, and you should think about those things.
Mm. Mm.
I don't
Iman?
think that it is.
Okay, carry on, Appa. I thought I heard Iman.
Okay. I don't think as a society we are ready yet to take accountability. Number one, to have these difficult conversations, um, to put structures in place for the success of polygyny. Now more than ever, polygyny is a need. We are heading towards that time where it will be one man to 50 women. So there are no
Hmm.
structures in place for support, for encouragement, for accountability, let alone the legalities of the matter, you know. Um, Instead, we still want to justify the bad behavior around why it's been done. Allah is the judge, don't judge. It's a sunnah, let it be. Indeed, it's a sunnah, it's encouraged, Islam allows it. But are we going about it correctly? Are we setting in or laying examples for our children? Because undoubtedly, our kids are going to live this reality. Not all of us may face it, but our children undoubtedly they are going to be in that. So are we putting those examples in place for them that yeah, this is what I want mine to look like? Or are we comfortable in the unhealthy habits, the toxic footprints that we are leaving, the trail of heartache and emotional torment that we are leaving behind for those that are coming? Because remember, people don't listen to what you are saying, they look at what you are doing. And it's
Mm.
in our actions that are speaking volume. So we can go on and speak and speak and speak, but what are we doing to change that?
Mm.
Mm. And it all starts with that. Okay, carry on, Iman.
I wanna touch on topic here, secret wives. This one, let me sip my tea first. Oh, all right, guys. What about our imams, our leaders who lead those secret marriages? What about them? Allah
Mm.
a reng ka bona, ba re ruta eng? Because I think ke bona ba irang dilo di be worse. Because how come a brother atla with secret wife a re kopa o re nyadise, and then ebe imama a dumela? So imam a reng ka taba eo? Yena o no re no, nna mmereko wa ka ke a ba nyadisa ka fetsa. But imam ha nahane hore kana monna o file mosadi ko ntlong, and then monna gae a shumo o nyala mosadi wa gagwe a sa itse wa mathomo. So di-imam tsa rena, our leaders, ba ba leadang those secret marriages, re reng ka bona? What are we saying about them?
Hmm. Sure. Yeah, it starts with our leaders as well because they are the ones whom we look up to for advice, whom we look up to as role models. And when we see them, we say, oh, okay, let me go and speak to my mulana, my sheikh, my imam, etc. Yes, they are human beings, but because they have been given that role in the community, that weight, we are going to look up to them naturally. And if they are not doing right by if they're not fulfilling their role well, then they need to they must rather step down because it starts with them. And you'll find most of the time that they are the problem ones. They are the ones who just go around saying and doing things and allowing such things to happen. I mean, we're supposed to be able to go out to our mulanas and our imams, etc., for advice, for counseling, for the problems that we are facing in our communities. But we can't even do that because it is not favoring us as women. We're not getting anything out of it. We will just be told to go and have sober, and how many times, how much sober must you make until the problem is resolved. The problems cannot be just resolved with sober. They need action, and they need accountability. They need someone. They need you, the couple, to put in the work. So I suggest that the people that are hired to be imams should go through extensive courses of counseling as well, and how to treat people instead of just leading the salah and marrying people, etc., and burying people. We also need to, they have to be able to counsel people. They must have that knowledge as well, not just, yeah, no, you marry, you finish, and carry on with the next one. Oh, yeah, you bring in another wife, alhamdulillah. Oh, is it your third one now? Oh, mashallah. No, they must be able to counsel and to ask, is everything okay at home? Why do you want to marry another one? Is your wife okay with it? Can we assess the situation? Let's see what's happening. Go into it. And I think that way we'll be one step closer to making polygyny a beautiful thing in our community.
Indeed. I
I
want
think
to just
the
backtrack a little bit.
reality. Mhm.
Please, Signa, you
Ladies,
can
you
speak.
must raise your hand.
Sorry. Now, I want to say, the reality that we are at right now is that many of our imams or Molanas, they're not equipped with social skills and conflict management skills. So, and it's a cry from many sisters that, what, we went to a particular Molana and we are not going there anymore because he lacked empathy or he lacked, like, objectivity. Because if you are a mediator between two people, you cannot take sides. You cannot say, hey, wabatsiba basadi ba libona, because
Mm,
many people that have the secret marriages, they tell the Molana, you know how women are, you know how crazy that one is. And, like the Molana will say, oh, yeah, women, you cannot agree to such statements if you are in a position whereby you are a mediator in the community. You're supposed to be objective and you're supposed to question, people's action. So unfortunately we find ourselves that in our times, plenty of some of the Molanas that we have, they buy people's faces. They're like, oh, I cannot disagree with brother so and so, because he's got this personality or he's got money and things like that. And actually, it's a topic for another day. We discuss, the state of the imams and molanas that we have in our communities and what are they doing to upgrade themselves and be able to offer, like social management skills to our community, because you cannot have an imam or a leader, someone in a leadership position, taking sides or not looking at the situation holistically and finding out what other parties that are involved is going on in their minds or in their heads. So even if you find out that, what, maybe the second wife doesn't agree to it, but you should let your husband, like, you should advise your husband properly that, he cannot be part of the conversation that says, these women, you cannot have a leader that
mm,
agrees to conversations that demean another human being, or how these men are. He cannot be in that situation whereby he agrees with putting down another human being. So I think there's a lot that we still have to learn and grow as a community. So I don't know about you.
I just wanted to backtrack, going back to um, the relationship of the subsequent wife and the first wife. Um, it is difficult to build a relationship if, like I said, the intentions are not correct. If you are coming in with arrogance and there's no humility, um, we need to understand that, of course, for the subsequent wife coming in, there is, how can I say, she has an upper hand in the sense of you being there. I'm the new pony, and I ride better. You know, you've been there. They know your tricks. You don't have any need to. So they come in with a superiority complex, and the first wife tends to have the inferior complex that, oh, there's a new broom that sweeps better than me, and woe is me, and that because of the attitude from the subsequent wife, which is supported by the husband.
Mm.
Uh, and I'm saying this in for the these unhealthy polygamous situations. The husband is often the cause of this breakdown between the two. He gives the subsequent wife that feeling of inferiority and makes the first wife feel inferior by
Mm.
how he deals and the things that he says, what comes out of his mouth. How, as women, then do we get away from that? Because one wife can hold the husband accountable, but if the other one is not holding him accountable and she's taking in everything that he's saying, like, oh, okay, he's saying this and that about her, yeah, ola ubiang, then there's still a breakdown. Because only on one side you're being held accountable, but on the other side, you guys seem to be going gumbaya. You're having a bonfire of disaster.
Yeah, yeah, no, it is intense. Yeah, this topic of polygyny is quite intense, and there's there's a lot that needs to be done, a lot of work that needs to be done, and I propose a polygyny workshop or a seminar or a conference or something, and everybody needs to be present at this year, whether it's first wives, second wives, those who are in monogamy that are thinking about polygyny, etc. Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done as community, and even though I'm proposing this conference or seminar, etc., you'll find that mostly sisters will attend. Sisters are the ones who always go out to try and put in the work in their marriages to understand things, to work through things, etc. And the brothers take a seat back and then just let it be because unfortunately they feel like they don't need to put in the work and they are fine the way things are. And that's that's the biggest problem because that's where the lack of accountability comes from. So I don't know what are we going to do to get our men involved, to get the brothers involved, to learn how to be responsible men, leaders, role models for their kids and for other people in society and in our communities, because it starts with accountability, being accountable for yourself first before you are accountable for others. We have a long way to go.
Yeah,
A long way, but
but
it's not unreachable.
it's not unachievable if we take the necessary
Mm.
steps.
Mm.
Yeah, it is not unachievable. I feel like there are many communities, even outside of this country, and we don't know how they do things, but we don't hear of their problems, and we can't speak about their situation because we are not there. But when you look at it from the outside, we are outside looking in, and it looks like they're doing well. So, what advice can we take from them in order for us to also be on that level? And I'm not talking about the non-Muslims because we are not there. We are not non-Muslims. We are Muslims, and we're trying to find a way for us to succeed in this as Muslims. Ladies, there is not much time left, so last pieces of advice, comments, Iman. Let's. Is there a delay? Okay, Appa.
Uh, in closing, I would say, let us be the change we want to see. Let us be the change in narrative that we want. The change starts with us, not for anyone else, but for the children that we are raising. We want to leave behind better carbon footprints for them. So it starts with us. So let us start working on it for them. Communication is of utmost importance. You
Mm,
have to communicate. Obviously, not everyone is willing to listen, but it starts with each individual. Um, I'm speaking from experience, so yeah, communication is very, very important. It's not easy. So and don't put yourself on other people's time. Also, if you are going through something in polygyny and you are told to get over it, no, you don't get over it. You work through it because getting over stuff means you just keep having a whole pile of things, and eventually there's nothing to get over. You are just hit with a mountain of things, and yeah, a volcano will end up erupting. So you work through things. Don't get over nothing. You work through everything, inshallah.
mm. Sakina, your final thoughts?
My final thought would be, as individuals, let's start having holistic approach to everything that we do, especially in marriage. Let's think of the consequences, not only individual consequences, but the whole unit consequences. Then I would also urge our leaders, people who are in leadership positions because they impact, the decisions made, to educate themselves so that they can provide, objective support and encouragement and things like that, so that everyone, you can't make everyone happy, but everyone should reach a certain level of satisfaction, even if they are not 100% happy with the whole setup.
And Iman, your final thoughts?
Oh my gosh. Someone was calling me and I lost the volume. I can't hear anything.
All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear anything?
Yeah, I hear, but the volume is low, 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 low. I can't hear anything. I can't hear.
All right, no problem. My final thoughts is, well, accountability, as we spoke of, and putting in the work. The work needs to come from both sides, from both parties. Let us work on ourselves first, before getting into polygyny and thinking that polygyny is going to sort out the problems or fix the problems that we already have. Fix yourself first. Put in the work and fix yourself before trying to fix others. Like, it goes back to pouring into your cup first. And even if your partner doesn't want to do the work, put in the work for yourself. At least at the end of the day, it will make you feel good about yourself and your situation, and your relationship with Allah will be better, instead of you resenting your partner and the new wife, or whomever of the situation. If you put your relationship with Allah first, then inshallah things will improve. Okay, I think Iman is still struggling with the volume, but with that in mind, ladies, it was lovely chatting once again. And I think we're going to do something sooner, especially since the month of Ramadan is here. So we need a spiritual upliftment, just getting into the groove of the month of Ramadan. May Allah allow us all to reach this beautiful month and to take full advantage of this beautiful month of mercy, blessings, etc. Uh, Ladies, have a wonderful day and a beautiful start to the month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa
وعليكم
alaikum assalam
السلام
wa
ورحمة
rahmatullahi wa
الله
barakatuh.
وبركاته.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Ramadan
رمضان
Mubarak.
مبارك.